What's up, guys? So here at the Dubai airport. Got off the flight from Delhi to Dubai earlier. Now I'm just waiting for the I can't talk. Now I'm just waiting for the flight from Dubai to LA. First time on the A380. Excited for that. But still got about 6 more hours before the flight. So let's find something to do. And I think you guys know what it is. Airport or Scareport.
Alright, so there are plenty of shops here at the Dubai airport. Some of my favorite ones included this M&M's store and this giant Nutella shop. By the A gates, there's also this giant duty-free shop that takes up most of the terminal, where you can find the regular fashion designer brands and also other duty-free shopping items such as chocolates, alcohol, cigarettes, and so on. Then there's this shop called Gifts from Dubai, where you can find a bunch of Arab stuff. Not to be confused with Indian stuff, although they do look pretty similar. On a more serious note, the selection of souvenirs and memorabilia available here is impressive, and you can definitely get more than just your last-minute souvenir or gift shopping done over here. There are plenty of shops at the Dubai airport. What I did like is that most, if not all of them, were open 24 hours. Boom. Airport. Restaurants and shops can be found throughout the terminal, and there's a wide selection to choose from, including some familiar fast food options as well. Given my affinity for burgers, at one point during this 15-hour layover, I decided to grab something from Shake Shack. I got myself the Shroom Burger. I sat down to have the Shroom Burger, and this is when I ran into some interesting vlogging troubles.
Alright. Alright, so Alright, so gonna be honest here. Just had a couple of bites of the burger. It's better than the ones I've had in California. This was a good pit stop.
After finishing up the meal, it was time to continue airport or Scareport. Plenty of food options to choose from, and once again, most of the restaurants were open 24/7. Also, the food was actually pretty good. Boom. +1, airport. There was a shop that sold all Emirates branded items as well, such as t-shirts, bags, hats, pillows, travel adapters, amongst other things. They also had these model aircrafts of the 777 and the A380. The Emirates shop, not my thing. Seemed more like a gimmick, but for all you Emirates fans out there, you can get plenty of Emirates goodies over here. No points awarded. Plenty of seating could be found at the terminal, making it easy to find a private place to sit down. And also, there were these larger seats where you could stretch out and take a nap if you wanted to. Boom. +1, airport. Places to charge your electronic devices were also available at the terminal. Although there are places where you could charge your electronic devices, there are very few outlets. Boom. +1, Scareport. There was a spa where you could even take a shower if you'd like. It was nice to see a publicly accessible spot where you can take a shower outside of the airport lounges. It's always nice to have an option to shower in between 2 long flights, especially if you're there on a longer layover. Boom. +1, airport. There were decent views to the flights outside, but given that this terminal was exclusive to Emirates, you would only find Emirates aircrafts such as the A380 and the 777. So overall, not a great terminal if you like plane spotting. The views from the terminal were not amazing. Also, the fact that it was only Emirates flights and you could only see the A380 or the 777 got boring pretty fast. Boom. +1, Scareport. There was Wi-Fi available at the terminal. I just forgot to take a screenshot of me connecting to it, but it was there and the download speeds were fairly decent. Free public Wi-Fi, boom, +1, airport. So our total tally comes out to 5 for airport and 2 for Scareport, making Terminal 3 at the Dubai International Airport officially an airport.
Before finishing airport or Scareport, I wanted to show you this one coffee shop that I found at the terminal. It had a sign saying, "Espresso yourself."
Espresso myself? No thanks. How about you go fuck?
Alright guys, almost made it. 30 minutes till boarding. Oh, the gates are open. Would you look at that? I guess we're boarding now.
What I didn't know then was that we weren't quite boarding just yet. The gates that had opened led to a security check, which then led to the actual boarding gate. And shortly after, boarding finally started. It was very organized and all the boarding zones were called one by one. I then made my way on board to a very warm welcome and found my way to the seat I had selected.
First time on board an A380. Wow, there's so much space. So much space.
The seat on board this Emirates A380 was very spacious. There was plenty of knee space, and also there was a lot of legroom as well. Honestly, this felt about the same size as some premium economy cabins on board other airlines. Inside the seat back pocket, there was a plastic bag containing an envelope for donations for the various charities Emirates runs, the in-flight magazine, and a barf bag. The seat featured a very modern-looking entertainment screen and remote. There was also a universal power adapter and a USB charger, along with a headphones port and a USB plug to plug your USB devices to the entertainment system. The seat featured a recline button as well. Also, there was a coat hook at every seat. The overhead panel consisted of individual AC vents and individual reading lights. There was also a foldable seatback tray, which could be folded in half or used as a full tray. It could also be pulled in and pushed back out. When closed, in the front of the tray, there was also a cup holder. Staged at every seat was a pair of headphones, a pillow, and a blanket. Surprisingly, there was also an amenity kit included, which contained a toothbrush, toothpaste, eye mask, socks, and this card explaining how the amenity kit was made with environmentally friendly materials. The cabin looked very modern, open, and spacious. Kind of reminded me of the Etihad 777, just a bit taller and a lot more modern. It was then time to say goodbye to the Dubai International Airport and make our way to Los Angeles. Shortly after takeoff, our first meal on board this flight was served. It consisted of a fruit salad, a coconut mousse, some crackers, a croissant, butter, cheese, jam, and a granola bar. The utensils that came in the tray were all silverware, and unfortunately, they weren't very well maintained. They were slightly dirty. For the main course, I got the vegetarian option, which was the Sevia Upma, a traditional South Indian dish. It came along with some sambar, which is a traditional South Indian curry. Overall, the food tasted alright, nothing too special. After having meals, it was time to check out the entertainment system, which was broken down into the information section, where you can find all sorts of information about the flight, Dubai, Emirates, and so on. The communications section, where you can find a bunch of different networking options, such as Wi-Fi, calls, and so on. And finally, there was the entertainment section, where you can find a variety of different movies, TV shows, podcasts, music, games, and live TV. There was a wide selection of old and new movies and TV shows from across the world. The selection of content available on this A380 was a lot more varied than the Emirates 777 that I had just gotten off a couple of hours earlier. Although the content selection was incredible and it was very diverse, I still think I prefer the Qatar Airways in-flight entertainment system over the Emirates ICE system. To me, the Qatar Airways entertainment system has a less cluttered user interface, making it easier to browse and access all the different content. The cameras on board this A380 included a front-facing tail camera, a bottom-facing camera, and a front-facing head camera. There was also a flight map and a flight tracker that could be accessed. The flight maps and the flight tracker could be accessed in the information section of the ICE system. The lavatory on board this Emirates A380 was moderately spacious. It wasn't as big as the one on board the Etihad 777, but it wasn't tiny either. What really stood out to me is how clean and well-maintained this lavatory was. The light brown and cream finish, along with the glossy textures, gave the lavatory a very aesthetically appealing look. The sink on board was also of a pretty reasonable size, making it possible to wash your hands without getting water all over the place. Fixtures in the lavatory included an AC vent, a power outlet, a coat hook, and an ashtray. Amenities included a bottle of eau de toilette, a bottle of lotion, cups, facial tissues, sanitary napkins, and airsick bags. Overall, a very well-maintained and aesthetically appealing aircraft lavatory. I got back from the lavatory to a very dark cabin, but some very bright and vibrant views. After a couple of hours on board and some extraordinary views, we got our second meal service on board this 16-hour flight. There was a spicy carrot and chickpea salad, a banana cake, a piece of bread, butter, crackers, cheese, chocolate, and the utensils once again were all silverware. For the main course, I went with the Bhindi masala option, which came with rice and dal. This was the vegetarian option they had on board.
Alright, cool. So there were a couple of things I wanted to mention here. On board this 16-hour flight, we had 2 meal services and 1 snack service in the middle. What I noticed is that on board Qatar Airways, there would be a snack service and then a meal service and then another snack service, and then a meal service. On Emirates, the snack service and the meal service seemed to be combined. The amount of food on board both the flights were basically the same. It's just on board Qatar Airways, it was spread out a bit more over 2-3 different services. Versus on Emirates, the snacks would be included in your meal tray, as you saw with the granola bars, crackers, and so on. I personally preferred the Qatar Airways method, that being spreading it out over a couple of different services. So first a snack service and then a meal service, and then another snack service and then another meal service, compared to having two services that fill you up with the same amount of food. Now, talking about service, I wanted to make a quick mention here about the cabin crew. The cabin crew on board this A380 were amazing. They definitely seemed a lot friendlier than the crew on board the 777 that I had just gotten off a couple of hours before. But once again, there was just something about the Qatar Airways crew and how the service was very personal that makes me prefer Qatar Airways over Emirates. But to be honest, having said that, the crew really depends on a flight-by-flight basis, so I can only comment about the flights I've taken and my experience on board those flights.
Alright, after about 10 hours of being on board this flight, I decided to get up, stretch my legs, and see what this Emirates A380 had to offer. The cabin on board was very spacious, even with this 343 seating configuration. I can definitely see why people love the A380 so much, as from the passenger experience side of things, it's definitely a very comfortable aircraft. Not only is there a lot of space, but it's very quiet as well. The takeoff felt like we were just floating into the skies, which, once again, some people may like. Personally though, to be completely honest, I miss that feeling of power you get from a loud engine during the time of takeoff, such as on board a 777 or even on board the A350. Before making my way back to the seat, I noticed that there were snacks laid out in the galley, which passengers could grab in between meal services.
Cool, so after getting a bit of walking done and checking out the cabin, I made my way back to the seat. The lights were dimmed so passengers could get some rest. At this point, I decided to see what was going on outside, and once I opened the window, my eyes were absolutely glued to it. Here, let me just show it to you.
After getting my fix of the majestic views over Greenland, I decided to check out the onboard Wi-Fi. There were 3 options to choose from. The first one was a $20 full flight pass, the second one was a $6 messaging pass, and finally the third one was a $10 30-minute access. To be honest, the 30-minute access that cost $10 made no sense to me, as you could get a 16-hour flight pass for just $10 more. Also, as most streaming services were blocked on board, I hesitate to see why most passengers would get the full flight pass instead of just the messaging pass, except for a few business travelers who need to access their emails. There was a final snack service on board this flight before we prepared for our descent into Los Angeles. The snack handed out was an Emirates pizza, which was essentially a vegetarian pizza with some tomato and cheese. To be honest, the pizza tasted alright. It wasn't amazing. Shortly after the snack was done, the coast of California inched its way underneath us. We eventually began our descent and made our way to LAX.
Alright guys, so Emirates. The hard product on board this A380 was very modern, the entertainment system was very responsive, and the selection of content was incredible. The soft product, the cabin crew on board the A380 were very friendly. Now, would I recommend Emirates over a competitor? If the competitor is not a Middle Eastern Airlines and Emirates is similarly priced to that competitor, then it's an absolute no-brainer. Emirates provides great value, especially on board their A380s. The experience you're getting on board this A380 is comparable to the premium economy cabin of a non-Middle Eastern Airlines. Now, compared to other Middle Eastern airlines, once again, if Emirates is priced similarly and you're going to be on board the A380, then definitely it makes sense to take Emirates over the competitors. Having said that, I have noticed that generally Emirates is priced slightly higher than most of its competitors, especially the Middle Eastern carriers. At this point, it becomes harder to make a recommendation for Emirates over a Middle Eastern carrier, such as Qatar Airways, as Qatar Airways, in my experience, provides a slightly better overall experience than Emirates does. The only difference you're going to have is if you're on board the Emirates A380, you're going to have a bit more space. Anyways, I'd love to hear from you guys now. What have your experiences on board Emirates been like? Would you recommend them to someone? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyways guys, I hope you found this video either helpful or entertaining. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.